and welcome to episode 33 of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast, a podcast all about my endeavours to live as creative a life as possible in as cheerful a way as possible. I'm coming to you from the south coast of England, where I live with my family and, more importantly, our two Springer Spaniels, Honey and Henry, who, as always, are currently here on the boat with me. Curled up, Honey is on the chair, Henry's on his bed, and for those of you new viewers, I'm not actually on a boat, but it's what I call my craft room. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? My name is Nicky. I am the hostess and CEO of All Things Sheep and Cheerful, and I will be talking to you for the next little while about my crafting. It's knitting, sometimes crochet, weaving. Today's going to be heavy on the weaving, sewing, stitching, patchwork, you name it. Anything that's vaguely creative, I like to share and have a chat with you about. Okay, so welcome to any new viewers, welcome back to any returning viewers and old friends. It's lovely to be back with you. I should also just add the caveat that we are still having building work done on the top floor of the house, so I don't think it's too noticeable. They've got a lot of the really loud stuff, I think they've got done now. So hopefully there won't be too much background noise, and hopefully the light isn't too bad today, and I've got things vaguely set up. As I say that, I can hear some shouting and some voices going on outside. Oh, for goodness sake. And then we'll be doomed if the builders decide to go out the front to their trucks and the dogs see them. That'll be game over. We'll see how we go, see how we get on. Right, okay, first of all, again, public service apology. I should put a thing across the screen. Last week, I had a very serious senior moment whereby I claimed that Tess of the D'Urbervilles and Far From the Madding Crowd were written by George Eliot. I have no words to express my idiocy. Let's just say it's an age thing. I don't even know where that came from. Fortunately, a couple of very kind viewers very kindly pointed out my mistake. Of course, those two novels are written by the English author Thomas Hardy, who was a man, who wasn't writing, a woman writing under a pen name of a man. And of course, the book I was thinking of that George Eliot wrote was The Mill on the Floss. I have read Far From the Madding Crowd. I've read a fair amount of Hardy. I have, oh excuse me, bit of a love-hate relationship with Thomas Hardy. I haven't read any Hardy since I read Jude the Obscure. That was it for me. He was dead to me now. Hardy, no. We won't go into that. I'll talk about that another time. I should also, one more thing is apologise. I have a strange seasonal kind of asthmatic cough, and it's a little bit playing up today, and the lawn was mowed yesterday, and I wonder whether that might have just kicked it off a bit. So I do apologise if I'm a bit coughy and a bit chesty, but I will do my very best not to cough during the podcast. So the all-important sip of tea. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I was thrilled to be able to say that we had reached 2021 subscribers on my little corner of YouTube here, on the YouTubes, as we call it in our house. And so I opened up a prize draw that I was going to leave open for 2 weeks. And all you had to do was comment below in the podcast from 2 weeks ago in the comments section, and your name would be put into a draw for a couple of prizes. I've pulled two. I showed them last week. I'm going to show them again in a minute. I'm just brushing the dust off. Genuine Winterton dust. Excuse me. And I had 138 comments left, which is amazing. I read them all. I tried to either respond or to give a thumbs up or a heart sign to all of them. So hopefully I got through them all. Thank you so much for all the lovely comments and for obviously last week's comments too. But that drawer is now closed. I have used random number generator from she who shall not be named, Alexa. And she gave me number 7 and number 73. So that was quite fun. So the winners of, oh, let's show you the prizes first. So one of the prizes is this rather beautiful project bag, which I love this. I love this colour, these colours. The colours, I should say this is a collaboration, a set of bags that I made with Gemma, Little Grey Girl. Her tag is on there. There you go. And I wove some fabric out of yarn from down Sheepy Lane. I don't know if you can see. This is actually this is the colourway. Oh, there you go. And it was a Game of Thrones inspired colourway from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. And I took a skein of that and I wove some fabric. And I used some roving in here as well, some grey roving. And then Gemma made it into a bag with a wax cotton box bottom bag, really good size, beautiful soft suede handle. I should turn it round. So we have this bag, and we then have a second bag which is from Debbie's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them colourways there. So that's more of a houndstooth check type of thing. And it's a brown, a really rich brown waxed cotton base. Again, drawstring bags. I should have done that, shouldn't I? And they've got pocketses and everything inside. Onto those, I have attached a lovely, lovely podcast viewer, a long time podcast viewer, sent me last year. And you see those pins, weaving pins? They're all the way from Canada. And she donated those as a podcast prize, so I put one on each bag. I have also added 2 skeins of yarn. So there's those 2. This is a Cascade Heritage yarn, and this is Manos del Uruguay linen blend yarn. I thought those 2 went together really nicely. So they will be in there, like so. And then in this bag, oops, I put together, again, another Manos and a Kettle Yarn Company. Again, I thought those colours went really nicely together. It's a green and a blue. So those are the 2 prizes, and I also will be adding a couple of stitch markers. Oh, it just keeps going. Just keeps going. Let's just show you these. I should have got this bag. Now these were made as a prize for the podcast by my lovely friend Cherie, who is Ollie and Bella on YouTube. She's not on Instagram at the moment. I know she's taking a break. I can't open this. It's in one of those, okay, bear with. She did this on purpose to make me, that's it. It's bad enough trying to open washing tablet blooming containers now, isn't it? Now, you won't be able to see all of these, but she made, Cherie and I are both Christians, as many of you are who watch our podcasts, I know. And she made me this beautiful set, oh, can you see, of stitch markers. And there's angel wings, there's a tree of life, there's the Christian fish symbol there. Oh, it's not going to, there you go. I love the tree of life, really love that one. And then there's a dove with an olive branch and a heart with a cross. Oh, I'll try and get it in the square so it focuses. So I'm going to put a couple of those each into as with the prizes as well. So they don't have to be, obviously you don't have to be Christian to have these stitch markers. They are beautiful regardless, because the message is the same. I think one here says actually love, let's have a look, what does it say? Love, faith and hope. Can't get much better than that, can you? So I'm going to put a couple of those each with those backs. So they're the prizes. Shall we just see who the winners are? I've come forward on my chair, haven't I? I drew the winners, and number 7 was Catherine Rutherford. So congratulations, Catherine. You will have one of those project bags and those goodies coming to you. And the other, number 73, was WoollyKim. Kim, I couldn't get any more details from your YouTube account. I'm sure we've talked either in the Ravelry group or on Instagram. Anyway, WoollyKim and Catherine, if you would like to message me either on Instagram or via Ravelry, or yeah, that's about it really. Reach out to me, let me know your mailing details, and I will get these prizes, these two. I think these are fabulous prizes. These are very rare, these hand-woven project bags, so you know. I will get those sent off to you as soon as possible. So congratulations, and thank you again to everybody who took part in that. I'm sorry I just couldn't give a prize to everybody really. Perhaps I ought to get, you know, 139 stitch markers made. Isn't that a great idea from Clara Peggotty? Right, so let's move on. That's what you come here for, isn't it? For the knitting and the crafting and all the biz. I have an FO. I have a finished object, and that is my trio shawl by Suvi Simola. I've been showing that. I've showed it a couple of times before, and I put quite a lot of work into it. I put a little sneaky teasy picture on Instagram, but it is now finished and it is absolutely beautiful. So here we go. That's one end. That's the middle. And that's the other end. How totally gorgeous. Actually that's quite nice because I can just about see through to see that you're getting that. Look at that shawl. How fabulous. I love a fringe. I love a fringe. And it's such squishy. So this is Sportweight yarn, which I'll talk about in a minute. So obviously trio because there's 3 colours. You've got the perla. I'll give you the colourway details in a moment. Then the bright and then the more pinky colour. And I tend to, oh, it smells so good as well. I used my Tuft woolens. I'm not sure if I can. Oh, that's that end. There we go. That would tend to be, you could sort of wear it like that. Or that's probably not styled particularly brilliantly, but it's fabulous. Really, really pleased with this. So pleased. And the texture, I'll bring this a little bit closer so you can see. Oh, probably best to show it on the slightly plainer fabric. So it's a broken garter stitch. And it's 3 panels of this broken garter stitch, and then the stripes kind of stripe in as you change the colour, which is just stockinette here. So you've got that one, and then you've got that one that stripes from the paler to the more vivid. and it's knit that way. So you start here and then you just increase and increase and increase, basically until you get to that size, and then you bind off. So that's it. Have I flashed that enough at you? Oh, just excuse me, adore this. I can't wait to wear it. Could actually wrap it up a bit. I'm not very good at styling shawls just on the fly, but sort of like that. There you go. That's all right, isn't it? I think I can't. You know, I get all discombobulated in front of a camera, So this is, as I said, the Trio Shawl by Suvi Simola, and the yarn I've used, now I have 2 tags. I don't know what I've done. I don't know where the 3rd tag, if I saw it, I've been clearing out, and it's always dangerous when I clear out because I lose stuff. I've got 2 of them. So I had pretty much, that's 2 of the skeins. So I had that much left over from each of the skeins, and that includes doing the fringe. So the very, I think it's, yeah, the really pinky colour, this one, is Coral Crush from our friend Aimee La Bien-Aimée. This is all La Bien-Aimée yarn. I've explained before that I bought these 3 skeins for a different shawl as part of a Stephen West kit, but I didn't like the shawl. Didn't think to look at that before I bought the kit. So I've had these 3 skeins in my stash for a while. They are Sportweight and they are 100% Superwash Merino. This one is called Glimmer, which I'm thinking is going to be the really bold one. Oh, showed you that, haven't I? I don't know if you can read that. You've got better eyesight than me if you can. And so we've got Coral Crush, Glimmer, and I've obviously lost the tag for this one. It's some sort of peachy one. If I manage to find the tag, I'll put the details down below. But yeah, Sportweight, so it's 325 meters per 100 grams. I got this from Stephen and Penelope, but obviously you can buy direct from La Bien-Aimée or from La Bien-Aimée stockists. It's not cheap yarn, but as a treat every now and then, oh, it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it didn't take me that long. The pattern was really good. I mean, yeah, getting to the end was a bit of a drag, because as we know, when you get to the end of a project, especially a big shawl, when the rows are about 573 million stitches long, then it can be a bit of a drag. Oh, I'm going to sit back again. I've got a feeling there's like a herd of elephants going up and down our stairs at the moment, so I do hope that's not too off-putting for you. So yeah, this is my finished object. Huzzah! I love it. I might keep it on for a bit actually. I think it clashes rather beautifully with my faded red hair. That could be a lovely colourway name, couldn't it, for yarn? Faded red hair. It's a bit sad, really. Okay, moving on. Right, so my next work in progress, right? I have 3 things to share with you. 2 new things and 1 half finished that you've seen before. If you remember, I showed you my first finished Rainbow Connection sock last week, which I have here. I don't need to show you it again. I'll just flash it up quickly. So I'd got this one finished. I cast on the second one. I think I'd cast on the second one. And without, going around the houses, it would take me far too long and probably get totally muddled to explain. But I didn't pick it up for a few days, and I'm not sure why. I think I was probably focusing on getting this finished. That might have been it, actually. Also working on the Battenberg blanket, getting my squares done on that. So I picked it up, I cast on, and I got the rib done. And, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. I got down to the foot. So I got down to the heel, down to there on the second one. Then I decided I had cast on a second, another new sock in a different colourway, and I wanted to work on that and get that to the heel. And so I picked up that, and I'd been working on that. And then I thought, oh, I got 2 socks, the only 2 socks I had on the needles, and I had to do the heel flap and gusset. I'm not a great fan, as I said last week, of doing a heel flap and gusset, certainly not on Magic Loop anyway. So I thought, oh, yesterday I really didn't feel like faffing around on Magic Loop with a heel flap and gusset. So I cast on another sock. And I cast on a scrappy sock, but the Rose City Rollers sock by Mara Catherine Briner, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. Anyway, to cut long story short, yesterday I ended up knitting 3 heel flaps. So having done something to avoid one, I ended up doing 3. So there you are. So, oh, too hot now. Oh, we have to have all the doors closed while the workmen are here. The internal doors, because they don't like the dogs. Shocking, I know. And but these rooms get so hot, I may have to open a window in a minute. Anyway, so get back. So where am I at? So my Rainbow Connection sock number 2, I've done the heel flap. So that's coming on really well. So that's now ready for me to pick up the gusset stitches. To turn the heel. I've done the flap, I need to turn the heel, pick up the gusset stitches. Have you ever forgotten to actually turn the heel and just gone to pick up the gusset stitches from the heel flap? I did that not long ago. Doesn't make for a very easy knit. So that's the Rainbow Connection socks by Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady. Sock number 1, sock number 2. I'm hoping, maybe, if everything aligns, if the stars align, I may have that fair finished next week for you. Which, put all that away, because my whip basket is a bit of a mess, because I was working on 3 pairs of socks yesterday and I was a bit all over the place. Right, so the first new cast on, that's right, that I cast on last week was with another skein of Lolodidit yarn, because I was waiting, I think I mentioned last week, I was waiting for February's yarn to come through, to arrive. Oh gosh, I'm hot. And I just wanted to cast on something. I just had the Rainbow Connection socks. That was all I had to knit on, sock wise, and I really wanted another small project. So I had been eyeing out, I had bought a pattern, and I think I did mention it at the end of last week, by Summer Lee Knits, who is Summer Lee Knits on Instagram. Let's try and find the front page. I have to keep talking now because the builders are in fact outside the window and I don't want the dogs to know. Oh no, I don't seem to have the first page. Okay, so she did a collection. She recently let's have a look here. I'll put them in here. Published, here we go, a collection of socks called the Hello Sailor sock set. So it's Summer Lee Design Company. There you go. I'm sure most of you would have heard of her. She's a prolific sock knitter and sock designer, and there's several different patterns. I think there's 4 different patterns in here, and they're inspired by coastal knitting, traditions of old, Guernsey sweater, fisherman's pullover, cabled Aran. There's actually a really lovely bit of prose written there about her description of these. I won't read it to you because it is lovely, but it's a paid for pattern, and so I selected to make the broken rope socks. Which are those? Okay. So I had seen these mostly on Tanis Fibre Arts Instagram feed, on Tanis Lavalley. Oh, I dropped a bit of paper. Hang on, because the dog will get it if she wakes up. I'd seen these knit by Tanis and really liked them, really liked the texture. So I decided to knit these for my dad for Christmas. Yep, I said Christmas. The C word, I said Christmas. Because I thought they can be a really gentle, slow knit. I can just keep them on the burner. I knew they'd take a while because it's a broken rib stitch pattern, and you know, I've always said I would never make rib socks all the way down because it would just be so much like hard work. In fact, Jules, lovely Jules, on her podcast last week has just finished a pair of socks. They're absolutely beautiful, and they are in broken seed stitch, which is virtually the same as broken rib, isn't it? And she said she wanted to, I don't think she used the phrase chew her knuckles off, but she did say that by the end of the second sock she'd had enough. But I've actually quite got into this, and lo and behold, I got to the heel flap of sock number 1. So let me show you without further ado. So there's my project card. This is the Hippo for S'mores colourway by Lolodidit. Like my little illustrations there. Quite proud of my illustrations. I haven't actually filled out anything on the back yet. I must do that. The skein of your... Okay, that's the builder's phone again. I apologise. That's the skein, the cake of yarn. So it's sort of like deep reds, browns and black, I guess, for the sort of the... Actually, that's quite a good way. And for the stripe, I pulled out 2 minis from Stash, but let me show you the sock. It's on, there you go. Actually, that's the front. So, and then you can see, just to say I haven't been joshing with you, I have knit the heel flap. But look, oh, I just look at that texture. And those speckles. Isn't that just... I should come over here a bit, shouldn't I? Amazing. I absolutely love that. So you'll see, I think you can see, so 4 colours of one, 4 stripes of one colour. I've then done, let me use it better on the back, 4 stripes. So this is like a golden orange, a burnt orange colourway. This is a speckled or a sort of a variegated red, and I'm going to pull out probably a deep sort of mustardy colour, I think. Just do the next set of stripes. I thought it'd be quite fun to have different stripes, but I didn't want to do a different colour every time. To be honest, if I'm honest, I wasn't convinced that this would be enough to stripe both socks all the way through. And I hadn't weighed it before I started. Just because you read the pattern. Yeah, right. So I thought, but oh, can I just show you this again? I just think over this side, that is absolutely gorgeous. So there's no cuff. You go straight into the rib. And I have made these a bit longer than she says on the pattern, because usually I make my dad 7-inch leg socks, or even 8-inch, depends what sort of mood I'm in. But yeah, they're really stretchy. I'm so happy with these. So what was going to be just a slow, gentle knit, actually, I've got, oh, and I have actually put the heel flap, turned the heel. So there you go. So I've now got to pick up with that one and start. In fact, what I'm probably going to do, and this might sound hideous to you, but I'm going to cut the yarn, or no, I'm going to pull out from the middle and wind off another ball and do the second sock to get down to there. I find that if I do them concurrently like that, kind of concurrently, but if I do them together, then I enjoy it much more than getting to the end of one sock and having to start from the beginning of another. So I won't pick up for that. No, I'm really not delaying picking up for the gusset, but I'm going to start sock number 2 on that. So yeah, really happy with that. So this is the Summerly Knits Broken Rope socks. Oh, there you go, on the Hippo for S'mores colourway. It's not actually available, I don't think, anymore in Lauren's shop, that colourway. But I do think that is really, really lovely. So that was sock number 2. And then, as I said yesterday, I cast on, totally randomly, I wanted to cast on another sock, but I didn't want to wind up a new skein. And I didn't want it to be a big commitment sock. Do you know what I mean? I wanted it to be, I don't know, just something quick and easy. So I was sitting in my chair over at the bow of the boat, and there'd been some little minis, scraps of yarn on my desk that I hadn't put away, and I picked those up and I thought, scrappy socks. Oh yeah, they're outside. So off I went, and in my lovely Ollie and Bella project bag that Cherie made for me, and actually I've got the Tree of Life Progress Keeper. No, remembers that as my zip pull on that. But Cherie gave me this at Christmas, which is so lovely. Love this fabric. I decided to, and again, because they were the closest, I decided to use double points, because there were some double points laying around that I hadn't. And also I thought, well, look, I'm not going to cast on a pair of shorty socks to avoid doing a heel flap and gusset when I only have to knit about an inch before I then have to do another heel flap and gusset. But I don't mind doing heel flap and gusset on DPNs. So there you go. And I'm waving this sock around. So this is where I'm at. There you go. This is my scrappy sock. So if I show you, so I did, I started off with this lovely, lovely purple or lilac, and I'm just putting in yarn. I'll show you the yarns in a minute. So I did slightly longer. What I want for the summer is last year I bought a pair of leather Converse. No, are they leather Converse? I think they are. They're not high tops, they're just normal Converse. And yeah, they are Converse. Anyway, I want some shorty socks to wear with my dresses and the Converse this summer. So I thought, and I bought some of those trainer socks, and they never stay on my feet. They always slide up under. Oh, so uncomfortable. So anyway, I did this, and I made the beginning bit a little bit higher. So I did probably 2.5 inches for the roll top there. Then I put a beautiful sort of sugar pink heel flap. I turned the heel, there you go, and I picked up stitches, and I'm now knitting on the gusset. And that's brilliant, because obviously it's a vanilla sock, there's no pattern, so all I have to do is remember to do my decreases. I've just changed colour again, so I'll show you what I've got in this bag. Total random pulls these were. That was the one I started with. It's blowing out a little bit. It's I don't know, I colours on here. It's less blue than that from what I can see anyway. Then that one I've just used, which is a speckled. Then the sugar pink, which I will be doing. I will be probably matching the second sock. That's my plan at the moment, but we'll have to see how we go. Then there's that lovely, lovely speckled pink there. And then, oh, such delicate, I think this might have been a swap I did. That one. Can you see the dark pink speckles on there? So basically, I threw them into the project bag, and then I'm just changing when I feel like it. I'm probably doing about 8 rounds of each colour, apart from the sugar pink on the back. But yeah, really happy. So that's one I can just pick up and put down. Obviously, well, once I've got through the gusset of the broken rope socks, that's one I know, well, even now I know the pattern of that, so I'll be able to knit that in front of the TV. But the Rainbow Connection, although I'm pretty au fait with the pattern repeats now, I do like to have it in front of me because I have been known to make really stupid mistakes. A bit like saying Thomas Hardy was a girl, really. Right, so that was that. So two new pairs of socks, or 2 new cast-ons. And of course, now I've finished my trio shawl, I can show you what my next cast on is going to be. The only thing is, I've realised did I print the pattern? Did I print the pattern? And if I did, where have I put it? It's not on my desk. Well, for the love of all that is good, I am totally rubbish. Okay. Well, it's a shawl. It was in here. It was here. It really was. Okay, so I've got it. It's right in front of me. What was I saying about stupid mistakes? Right, I'm going to knit Susan Joy, which is a triangular shawl by Andi Fagan. And I'll show you the picture. There. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, I saw this on Diane's Suburban Stitches podcast. She doesn't podcast very much these days, but I was watching, I don't think it was her Christmas vlogs. It might have been an older podcast from last year sometime. And she was knitting on this, and I love it. I absolutely adore slub yarn. I love slub. Lubba, 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 slubba, slubba. Yeah, okay. I love slub yarn. And she knit this pattern in one of her slub colourways, and I just fell in love with it. So it was before Christmas. I'll show you that again. And actually, there's the pattern. I'll put the details below. I found a new to me dyer and fell in love with her colours, and I went totally bright and vivid this time. Just trying to remember what colourway this is called. Candy Carousel. There you go. And the dyer is in the crochet corner. So she's on Instagram and she's on Etsy. And I went and had a look at her shop just before Christmas, totally enabled actually by Cherie again. It's a bit of a Cherie show this week, isn't it? Oh, look, I'm slumping down again. And I ordered, wait till you see this slub. You might need to put your sunglasses on. Look at that yarn. It's just amazing. Ooh, let's get it really close, right in your face. There you go, look. Oh, you just want to reach out and touch it, don't you? It is absolutely, oh, I cannot tell you how tactile this is. The colours, the slub, oh, everything. So, the shawl actually calls for one skein, which threw me a bit, to be honest, because it looks quite big for a single skein shawl. But it's one skein, but I think you can make it bigger. So I will knit it, and then there are details of mods you can make to make it bigger if you want to. And also there's the tassels, obviously, which use yarn, so I will get as much out of these 2 skeins as I possibly can. Now this year, I still keep meaning to talk to you about my making goals. And I feel like I keep referring to them, but I never quite actually get there. But 3 shawls are on my list this year. 3 shawls. I think I said last week that it was 3 pairs of socks. Now I'm actually going to be totally over that, aren't I? But 3 shawls, and I had them picked out. So one was the trio shawl, one is the Susan Joy with this yarn, one is the hipster shawl with my Tannis Fibre Arts worsted weight yarn. So that's the 3. Plus I want to finish my Hummingbird shawl from last year, which I will get out probably once I finish the Susan Joy. But this is, I've been dying to cast this on, and it came so beautifully packaged. It was in the most amazing package with black crinkly shredded paper. It was just, I left it in the package for ages actually, and it was all wrapped up, but I took it off. And I also got, she also sent a lovely little stitch marker there. So I'm going to be casting that on. I think I will cast that on once I have finished the Rainbow Connection socks. There's a buzzing. Can you hear that? Sorry, I thought that was the doorbell. I do apologise if that's really, really irritating, but there's not a lot I can do. I can either not podcast or we can just push through it. So let's push through it. Talking of which, got a text from my son Joe this morning. He was working today and he said, I just had a baby. That's about the 4th one I think he's helped deliver as an almost qualified student paramedic. He's in his last few months of training now. So yes, I shall no doubt be getting details later. I'd like to have all the details, girl, boy. Keep saying they're naming it after you. But anyway, I'll just have another look at that. Just glorious. That will be my next cast. Right, so have we got anything else? Some Happy Mail. 2 things to show you then for Happy Mail, because that doesn't count because I got that before Christmas. I did get the next skein of Lolodidit, February's month of Hippo for Little Celebrations. And this is so, so lovely. So here it is. And this is called, can you see? Hippo for Daydreams. Oh, glorious. And it's a bit paler. The Hippo base is a little bit paler. It's almost got a slightly bluey tint to it, I think. But look at those lovely speckles. So it's magenta, it's orange, orange and magenta. I mean, couldn't really go much far wrong with that, could you? And a bit of brown, a bit of amber. And so, yeah, let's just give you that. There you go. Hopefully that will. So this is Lauren's L'Original sock, or L'Original, which is a 3-ply base. There we go, glasses off. It's 3-ply, which is now rapidly becoming my favourite base for socks. 85% extra fine superwash merino, 15% nylon, 440 yards to 100 grams. So that's going to be my next Hippo sock cast on. And that will be probably a vanilla sock. Although I'm toying with the idea of casting on the Rhinebeck Roomies sock by Crazy Sock Lady. We'll see. Look at that. I mean, so that arrived. I'm really pleased with that. In the meantime, next month's has been sent, but that'll be 3 weeks, so we've got a while to wait for that. So that was lovely. And then finally, the Happy Mail I got this week was something I ordered about a month ago from a lady on Etsy and Instagram, and I've left her card in the other room. But you may all know her. The shop goes by the name of Pedro's Plaques, and she makes these beautiful polymer clay handles for crochet hooks. And I ordered one when I decided I was going to make the Battenberg blanket. I thought I would treat myself to a handmade crochet hook, kind of handmade handle crochet hook. And I ordered this, and it came yesterday, and it is just beautiful. It's so, try and cover my mush so that you can see it. It's a lovely pale blue with that lovely pastel rainbow. There's the hook, and the size is stamped on the base. I used to make these years ago before they were a thing, I think. I didn't see them for a while anyway. I covered some of my own when I used to make polymer clay beads and jewellery. Oh yeah, done that as well. And I made several of these. I never even thought to stamp on the base, so I never know. I've still got mine, and I don't know what size hooks they are. I could guess. I could actually guess, but this is absolutely beautiful. So that's going to go in with my Battenberg blanket. And again, I'll put the link below. She's got such a lovely selection. It was really hard to choose which one, but you know, pastel bluey mint coloured handle with a rainbow was a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So that was that. Okay, so pick a mix section this week is going to be about weaving, and I'm not going to talk about it now, though. I'm going to put the vlog at the end of the episode today because, as I promised, I have recorded my warping of the loom. I have warped the big loom, the 48-inch loom, with the yarn that I showed you last week, and I did record it all, and I'm going to put it all together and put it at the end of this episode. And then next week, as this week goes along, I shall record myself doing some more actually weaving in the weft, and I will add that in as well and chat to you about that. So that will be coming up at the end. I had a factoid, but I just realised I didn't write it down. I know what I wanted to talk about, but I'm not, because I will save that for next week. But I will come on to a little chat about books again for all the bibliophiles out there. Do you remember I talked last week about maybe doing a read along with one of Louisa M. Alcott's Gothic thriller books? So if you missed last week, you might want to go back and look at the end. Just ignore the bit that I said about Thomas Harding. Louisa M. Alcott, best known, I feel, for her Little Women series of books, also wrote under the pen name of a man and wrote a Gothic thriller or two. And several people have said now they would be interested in doing a read along. So I'm going to open a Ravelry thread, actually, because it was so much fun when we did the Dickens read along at Christmas. So I have ordered off Amazon the Behind a Mask story, or A Woman's Power, it's called. A couple of you recommend or tagged me and told me about that one, so I went on and had a look. So I bought that one. I bought the paperback. I have also bought on my Kindle, which here I bought a biography of Louisa M. Alcott, which I brought in to tell you which one it was, because again, if you're anything like we were with the Dickens, there we go. It's really interesting to look at the author as much as it is to read their work. So, oh, it's gone straight in there. I think it's called A Life, Louisa May Alcott, A Life from Beginning to End. And I'll link it down below. It was about £1.99 to have it on my Kindle. Okay, well that was rude. My camera memory card just was full up and cut me off in my prime there. Possibly the best way to be. Oh, now Henry's looking at me. So I was saying that I had the biography of Louisa May Alcott as well, and I am going to begin reading Behind a Mask. Now, if you want to join and read along, and you don't have to read the same book, it's just really interesting to be able to read something completely different from an author who we often pigeonhole into a certain genre. So I'm going to be reading the biography and I'm going to be reading the book. I have put Bleak House on hold for the moment. I absolutely love it, but I haven't had an awful lot of time to pick up my book. And I also find, I don't know if I I said this to you last week, I actually have started, I always read in bed at night. I am an in-bed reader. I don't knit in bed, I don't do anything else. If I go to bed early, I go and read, even if it's only for 10 minutes before I go to sleep. But I've found lately that if I read Bleak House before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, then I don't sleep very well. I can't go to sleep, which is a bit weird because I can do all sorts of things. I'll do Sudoku and I'll get to sleep, and I will read quite a complicated book and I'll go to sleep. But for some reason, it could just be coincidence. But anyway, just put that on hold because it's a huge book as well. I'm halfway through it. It's about 1,000 pages. I'm halfway through it and loving it. But it's nice sometimes to dip out, a bit like with knitting projects, just to do something else. Anyway, I'm going to be reading Behind a Mask. So thank you for those of you who suggested that. I will open a thread in the Ravelry group. I don't really know if you want to tag me on Instagram. If you can't join in the Ravelry chat, then do tag me in on Instagram with it. I can't think of a snappy hashtag, but just tag Clara Peggotty or Sheep and Cheerful Podcast and I can see that as well. It will be lovely if you're going to join in. I also know that my lovely friend Emily, who has the Yarn Brairie hand-dyed yarn business over in Utah, actually dyes a colourway of yarn called Alcott. I mean, she does beautiful yarn, absolutely beautiful yarn, and I love all her colourways. And I'm often chatting with her saying, if the shipping was a little bit more reasonable, then I would be buying them all, basically. But I am tempted to order a skein of Alcott and maybe offer it as a prize for the group. Maybe I'll do that. I'll have a little chat with Emily. But it will be great fun. There's going to be no rush. It's going to last, I would say, a good month or so. So you'll still have plenty of time to get yourself the book. Let's have a read along and see what we think. I'm quite excited for mine. Mine's coming tomorrow. I'm quite excited about that. So that's what we're going to do as a follow-on from last week. I'm a little bit now out of kilter because I've just spent the last 20 minutes trying to sort out my memory card in my camera and trying to make sure I don't delete the whole previous load of recording. But I think we're good. So I shall say goodbye. I was so tempted to burst into song then, you have no idea. I am going to put the weaving vlog directly up next, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to also open a thread in the Ravelry group with an Ask Me Anything About Weaving. Title. I told you, I've lost the plot now. So there will be an Ask Me About Weaving thread opened in the Ravelry group. If anyone has any other questions, whether you're a weaver or not, or if you're interested in starting, or if you just have any queries about something that interests you, just hop over to there and put a question in there, and I will then address those on the podcast, and I can share your questions, because chances are if it's a question you're thinking of, then lots of other people are thinking of it too. So I will add that into the Ravelry thread today. Don't forget the 2 prize winners, that's Catherine and Kim. Get in touch with me so I can get your prizes shipped out to you. I hope you all have a lovely week. I have had my COVID vaccination. I had that on Saturday morning. I have to say, between you and me, I was a little bit upset at getting the call because I thought I was too young to get a call in this stage. And in actual fact, I am. They're doing 56 and upwards at the moment, officially, and I'm under that. But clearly our doctor's surgery is ahead of the game on things. So I got called up, so I went and had my jab. It didn't hurt in the slightest, but I have had a few slightly out of sorts days, which is fine. It's the price you pay, isn't it? It wasn't super bad. Painful arm, yes. So of course, having walked to the loom on Saturday, I then couldn't really do a lot for a few days because weaving is very physical, as obviously I'm demonstrating there, and my arm's still sore. It's pretty much better, apart from when I lay on it at night now, it's a little bit sore. So yes, as I said, have a good week. Stay safe. If you're in the UK, we're counting the days. The kids are back to school now, and we're counting to the days when we can start actually getting outside again, which will be really, really great. So I'm sending you love and hugs. Keep cheerful. I keep saying that, and I'll see you soon. So as promised, we're going to do a video. I'm going to do a video of warping the loom for the Alchemy blanket that I'm going to be weaving this week. And as usual, Henry's decided to have a drink and give you some nice sloppy background music. So this is my Ashford rigid head loom. It's big. I don't know if you're getting that. It's 4 foot wide. This is the biggest. This is our dining room table. This is the biggest table we have, and it's at full extension, which is about 8 feet, which is just really. I chose to make the blankets this long because A, it worked, and B, it made it much more straightforward to warp the loom rather than having. There we go, look. Rather than having to find somewhere to attach the warping peg, which I will show you shortly. We have my shuttles, my stick shuttles, that paper to wrap around the cloth beam, my ever useful pink bowl, a very messy box of all the bits I need. So in here, these are the warp separators, very technical bit of cardboard, of which a lot of them are mullered through years of use. I could make some more, but I haven't. Then we need, so that's a warping peg. I need 2 of those because the blanket is so wide. Oh my goodness, I clearly haven't put away the stuff from my last weaving foray because I'm bad like that. These are the clamps that will go on the loom and the warping peg. So I need 4 of those. I've got 2 there. Fortunately, because I've got quite a few looms, I don't have to go and find where I put all the rest of the stuff. So they're the clamps I need. And of course, the star of the show, sorry loom, but these are the star of the show, which are the mini scraps. Not scraps, a lot of them are, but I'm going to be using primarily the larger quantities for the warp because the warp is the longest. That's going to be beautiful. The warp is absolutely the longest part of the weaving, the continuous part. So I'm thinking probably those and those will go onto the warp. I think, looking at that, there's that one. We might pop a few. Oh, Woolberry Fibre Company. We might pop some of that in there as well. I very much weave by sight and kind of intuition, so I don't plan it too much beforehand. I let the loom do all the magic. So quick chat about the loom. I put my Apple Watch on because I thought it would be interesting to see how many steps it takes to warp the loom. But it's thinking I finished because I'm standing still at the moment, so we may have to pause that. So yeah, my Ashford rigid head loom, for those of you who don't weave or those of you who aren't sure, the rigid head looms are tabletop. This is the biggest in the series. They used to do a 60-inch one, so 5 foot, but I don't believe they make those anymore. So you've got, this is obviously the frame, it clamps to the table, and then this is the headle, this baby, which comes off, there you go, and the middle bit is called the reed, there you go, and the all-important bit are these slots, actually it's moving there, the slots and the eyes, and the size, the number of slots and eyes
in the heddle are basically where you get, well, in weaving it's called the set, in knitting it will be called your gauge and the size. So this is equivalent to kind of the size of knitting needle you'd use. So if we go to, let's go around here, this one, you'll see if I can, there you go. So this is a 7.5 dent heddle, which means there's 7.5 slots and eyes per inch across here. So think about if you're a spinner or even knitting, wraps per inch. That's how we gauge our hand spun yarn. And so this is 7.5. So for every inch, you're going to have 7.5, 7.5 strands of warp yarn. So if you wanted something a lot finer or denser, whichever way you want to look at it, you would use a reed with a higher number of slots and eyes per inch. So the smallest one I've got, which is a bit like, well, the reverse to needles, I guess, is the 12.5 dent heddle, where you've got 12.5 slots. So across the same width, across 48 inches, you'd have 12.5 times 48 slots and eyes. Whereas here we've got 7.5. I use the 7.5 with fingering weight yarn simply because it gives a nice drape. It's not too thick of a fabric at the end of it. If I'm making tea towels, I tend to use, with very fine cotton, I tend to use the 12.5 dent heddle. So that's where we're at. So I've got to now do a bit of clamping. I've got to go and find another warping peg, and I'm going to attempt to set up the camera so that you can see the events of the warping, which I will then probably speed up because it takes well over an hour to do it, and you really don't want to be sitting watching me going backwards and forwards for an hour. Oh, and I should add, I always have a little bit, I either have a podcast or some music on when I'm warping, and today's tunes are being provided courtesy of Kylie. Very young Kylie back in the day, because I love this album. I had it when I was in my 20s and lived on my own. I was a real Kylie fan then, and because she covered lots of the 1960s songs, which I loved. And so I managed, when I got my record player last year, I managed to get hold of the album as well on, I don't know, eBay or somewhere like that. So she's going to be keeping me company, as are Honey, totally disinterested, and Henry. And yeah, I'll set up the camera and away we go. So you can see the warp is now threaded. Hang on, let me come around this side. So this is the back stick there. I can't actually see. There we go. This is the back beam, and then there's, so those colours are just looking so pretty. Oh, there you go. There's Honey now having a drink. So the next step is to take it off of the warping pegs. Oh, she's now crunching. She's got a piece of paper. And wind it on to the back beam. So I've done that. The next step obviously was to move it from the table onto one of my kitchen worktops, which is a perfect height for me to weave, and I get to look out the garden. My houseplants will probably have to move because I tend to put my laptop up there so I can watch podcasts while I'm weaving. Anyway, so what I've got to do now, you'll see that this is all threaded. It's rolled onto the back beam, as I said, and what I have to do now, the next job, is to go along, and you'll see, hang on, let's take this one. There are 2 strands of yarn through every slot. I have to take one of them out and thread it through the eye next to that slot, and I have to do that all the way along here. Oh, that makes your eyes go funny. So that I've then got 1 strand of each pair in the slot and 1 strand of each pair in the eye. So that's a job for after lunch. It's good though. it's one warped 48-inch rigid head or loom. Let's zoom in a bit. So you've seen how I've tied these off on the back stick. This will become the cloth beam, because this big one is what we will wind the newly woven cloth around. And then I put the warp separator sticks in just to make the first few throws a little bit easier. If we go over the back, you can see how beautiful the colours are looking already. I hope this isn't making you a bit seasick. So I'm all set to wind on my warping stick and start creating some cloth. What do you think, hen? Yeah, I want some dinner.